Yeah, hello guys, it's Swish with another Marvel Snap video, and in today's video just going to talk a little bit about core cards from Series 2. So it's going to be Series 2 core deck. And before I started talking about all cards, basically this is the deck just made from the Series 2 cards. Pool, Series 2, Pool 2, Series 2, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Before we started, if you don't really feel to play Shang-Chi, because this is kind of the card, like it's not going to be consistent at all. You just simply remove this and just put the America Chavez. So this is just my solution to better win game ratio. And I believe so on some highlights I will play with the Shang-Chi and with the Chavez. But long story short, if you really want to be consistent, Shang-Chi is not really the consistent card because it's kind of like tech choice because the people are actually playing around a lot, and yeah, most likely you won't get opponent with 9 plus stats energy. Even if you do, you might not get the card, right? So usually for energy drop, you're looking for card which you can play on turn 4, and Shang-Chi is definitely is not the card you're going to play on the turn 4 anyway. So I'm not saying it's bad or anything, because it's a really good card, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like you wanna play another couple of 4 energy choices, and this is like end game finisher move. So in this scenario, I just rather to put America Chavez. But yeah, up to you, I guess. If you feel like you want to play it, just play it. And we're just gonna crack on with the rest of the cards. So we have the Sunspot, obviously 1 energy drop. We can boost this. +1 for every energy we didn't spend for, let's say, turn 5. We're just not going to play anything at all, and that's going to be +5. We have the Agent 13 here because every card here is from the Series 2. So basically adding a random card to your hand, which is always great, and it's a tempo card because we can play on the first turn. Obviously, the Iceman, super great card, the tempo card, and the Series 2 card. So just giving a random card in your opponent's hand +1, and sometimes that's good enough. Okay, super great card. +1 to every card in your deck, and I just pause for a second because obviously there's going to be much more better solutions, better decks to play this card eventually, with the Black Panther especially, or some other cards you want to buff. So because I mentioned, okay, so I'm just gonna jump here to Nakia, and Nakia basically, again, if you're going to play with Black Panther later on in the future, it's super great card because it's giving +1 to every card on your hand. And if you don't know what's the Black Panther, because you just started playing recently, as I do, that's the Black Panther. So basically, on reveal, double this card's power. And this is the best card for Shang-Chi to counter, obviously. So if that's going to be 6, it's going to be 12, and so on. So that's super great card, already tested. Quite happy with this one. Scorpion, this is like super amazing, especially if you can play this several times, and actually have highlights of this card playing 4 times in a row, something like that. So basically afflict cards in your opponent's hands with -1 power, but obviously if you can play this couple of times, those cards are dead. Most likely that scenario is not going to occur, just simply because that was due to the fact of the location. I don't remember the name of the location, but when you play the card on that location, it's going to bounce back to your hand. And that was great times, great times. We have the Cloak for 2 energy, 4 power, and on reveal next turn, both players can move cards to this location. And answering the question why the hell I'm playing this on the deck, which is not the movement deck. Well, the reason is really simple, because it's for 2 energy, still 4 power. And if you're going to play this as a tempo on the turn 2 or 3, like opponents are not going to move anything to that location anyway. And on turn 6, if you don't really playing America Chavez, you can actually play this on the location which you're missing several of points, and then you can combine this with the Shang-Chi. So actually, this is like super crazy good combo as a final turn finisher, believe it or not. Then we have a Storm. Storm is crazy good cards, playing as a tempo curve on the turn 3, just to shutting down the location on another turn. So the cards cannot be played later on in the future after 1 turn. So This is the last turn cards can be played here, and then next turn we are not able to play the cards here, but we can move them. So if you're playing something like a vision, you can still move the cards over there because the location is not locked. It's not like a Dr. X, Professor X. I changed the genre. So yeah, it's not like a Professor X. On the Professor X, you won't be able to move unless you're playing Jeff, because Jeff you can move around whatever you like. That's why Jeff is so cool card. Keep that in mind if you're playing actually Professor. You can play that on the location, which it's telling you the card you are going to play is going to be destroyed, but it's not going to be destroyed because the Professor and every other card in the game and the effects are reading first from the card and then from the location. So what's going to happen is the Professor X actually locking the location and it's not going to be destroyed. So that's like super crazy good. That's why it's so expensive to play, because this card is actually really good. Really good in some certain decks. Like Jubilee Control with Zabu and stuff. So to play this card on the cheaper cost, but still on the destroy location, this is like super great. Anyway, we're just gonna go further. We have the Rhino, self-explanatory card, just playing the Rhino and he's just making the location, making the ruins from the location. It's like really consistent, really good card. You will have lots of scenarios to actually utilize this just to your favor, let's say so, because, well, it's not going to be anybody's favor at the end of the day, but if it's a destroy or something deck and the location, it's not allowing us to play the any cards, we don't care because we're just gonna play the Rhino. And as I mentioned before, the Rhino is going to destroy the location before the location ability occurs. Then we have the infamous or famous Shang-Chi, which is going to be half of the games, useless card, and maybe even more than half of the games. Let's say 70% of the games is going to be useless. So that's why you have to think twice before you are like to put this into your deck. And then we have the Hobgoblin, just simply because this is the Series 2 cards only, so we're just running the Hobgoblin here. That's probably not the ideal scenario deck for this card, but nevertheless, it's still 5 energy drop, and if you didn't draw the vision before, so and you actually have the Hobgoblin, Hobgoblin, you can try to play the Hobgoblin if you want to play it. Why not? You have to keep that in mind. If your nickname is not glowing during the gameplay, which means your cards are going to be turned on a second, and if you see like 2 spots left, that means, well, I'm not saying that somebody going to play actually 2 cards on the position with 2 spots left, but sometimes it's happened. Like actually, I played because I knew the guy having the Hobgoblin because he have that Goblin -3, so I just assumed there is going to be Hobgoblin -8. And that was on the last game. I play on a move deck, so I played 2 cards. I stack up obviously the every place possible, so the Hobgoblin couldn't move, and basically he just played the card and -8 himself, so great times. And the vision, which I mentioned already, which we can move around whatever we like to. And pretty much that's it. So thank you very much guys for watching. See you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye for now, and enjoy a few highlights with 4 card decks. Soon I'm going to do a couple of more Series 2 decks, and maybe next week I will start Series 3. Enjoy.